only. You know, I'm gonna just say it like this. I don't got nothing against nobody. But when it comes to the violence and when it comes to the hate crimes and bothering innocent people, like, that's not godly. And I say that respectfully, especially when someone doesn't have malicious intentions to bring harm towards you or themselves. I had multiple people disrespect me because I spoke upon violence and I said, stop the violence. And they judged me because of my sexual orientation. And I say this respectfully, it's bigger than my sexual orientation because at the end of the day, I'm a woman first. And I say that respectfully. I know who I am and I love myself. And I say that respectfully. You know, People are so quick to judge a book by its cover and they can't even get in tune with themselves. There's no competition when it comes to respect and loving yourself, and I say that respectfully. There's no competition when it comes to God's timing, and I say that respectfully. I ain't in competition with nobody. But if you don't like my sexual orientation, how I represent myself as a woman, standing by myself, do yourself a favor and just stay in your own lane and keep it pushing. And I wish you find peace one day in your own lane. And I don't wish bad on anybody. And I say that respectfully. But it's the thought process for me. How an individual could be minding their business, they're minding their business, and they entertain certain individuals that they allow to come into their life, right? Just for someone to find out. Someone just psyched them out their freedom, or their thought process, or their pockets, or their eyesight, because they have good intentions. How someone would sit here and really manipulate someone's character. How it could go from a good night to a night where did that just really happen? This is bigger than culture. This is bigger than someone's sexual orientation. This is bigger than someone's disability. This is bigger than someone's religion. It doesn't matter if you elderly or not. Because nobody deserves to be psyched out their freedom or their thought process or their pockets when someone's trying to play them close. Just to reevaluate their thought process, they end up in a body bag or a garbage bag in front of their home because someone decided to say, you know what, I'm going to entertain this person today. Oh, you know what, I'm going to come out my comfort zone today to respect my neighbor, but my neighbor can't respect me. My neighbor has malicious intentions towards me. My neighbor's a hate in disguise. I allowed my neighbor to come into my home, and my neighbor was jealous of me, how I carried myself as an individual, regardless of my sexual orientation or my religion at the end of the day. Because they don't have, and I may have more, but I may not have more in my pocket, but I know how to carry myself in an orderly fashion. Or because I'm not having excuses as to I'm allowing myself to shortchange myself because of my pain and my trauma that was endured within me from a child point of view going into my adulthood. And I decided to have certain individuals around me. And to come to find out, they was trying to line me up, psych me on my freedom and my thought process in my pockets because they ain't have good intentions. It's so sad to see that a family has to mourn over their lost one because of a hate in disguise or a person that does not have controlling issues. That innocent person doesn't have controlling issues. But to reevaluate their life and say to themselves is they came across someone who had controlling issues and they didn't even know. Someone psyched them out their thought process so quick and fast. You see how when an innocent person is walking on a sidewalk, minding their business, someone is quick to try to psych them out their freedom. How it's minding my business with the minding my business, right? It's so sad. It really is so sad. How a family has to identify a body of their loved one. God knows how long that body was sitting outside in front of someone's home, someone's building, someone's community. Because someone didn't know how to stay in their own lane. You know, hate crime is really real. Because you have so much hate within you, you decide to try to psych someone out their freedom. Because you don't have the proper self-awareness for yourself. Or you sit this, or you're quick to say, you know what, when you have your mental reevaluation test to reevaluate your life, where they ask you, ma'am, sir, why did you do it? The first thing you say is, hey, I don't know what love is. I don't know what respect is. I don't have self-awareness. And I didn't like how that person was stepping today. So I decided to psych them out their freedom. I ain't have good intentions, and I didn't care if I did it or not. These are the type of people that we walk amongst every single day, when we least expect it. Just a few days ago, multiple bodies sitting outside communities where kids are supposed to be innocent to have to witness. Somebody's got psyched out their thought process and their freedom. The child's pointing. Mom, dad, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, look what's that? Just to reevaluate their life. They saw their first dead body. A baby. Up close in person. This wasn't at a funeral home. This wasn't at a morgue. This was outside in broad daylight. Imagine that. An innocent child. So imagine an innocent child. Imagine the mindset of an adult. The trauma behind it now. This happens every single day. Every single day. A streetwalker just got psyched out her freedom. God knows who did it. Because why? She's already labeled homeless. But why does that matter? Why does it matter if someone is homeless or not at the end of the day? Ma'am, sir, can someone please explain? That's still a human, right? So should it matter if she's homeless or not? If she has family or not? So someone had the right to psych someone out their freedom, to take them to a place where they're reevaluating their life. They're scared. No way to turn. You ever been manipulated when you thought you had to trust, when you had to trust somebody? That's the most uncomfortable feeling ever in life. The most uncomfortable feeling ever in life is to trust somebody that is manipulating you. Or does it really have to be someone have to manipulate someone for someone to psych someone out their freedom? No. That scenario could have went many ways. It could have been someone she knew. He knew. It could have been anybody, right? I don't understand how someone can have the energy within them just to randomly say, you know what? I want to psych them out their freedom today because I don't have good intentions. I don't care about life today. They bothering an innocent person. Why should it matter if someone is diagnosed with a learning disability, if they're diagnosed with anxiety, PTSD, if they're diagnosed with suicidal Why? An innocent person should not be in a situation within a situation at the end of the day, should they? That's an innocent person that doesn't have malicious intentions. Or the most creepy and scariest thing to see up close in person is that you're minding your business with them minding your business, right? Because these scenarios go many ways. They can. How a young lady or a young man, doesn't matter their sexual orientation or not at the end of the day, they could be walking into their home, not even realize somebody's watching them watch them at the end of the day. And God knows how long someone was actually watching them watch them. Just to try to psych them out their freedom, line them up, psych them out their pockets and their thought process, because they ain't got good intentions and they don't care about life. It's getting more sad and disgusting because a lot of these crimes are going unsolved. Never judge a book by its cover, and I say that respectfully. You know, when you're a child of God, and I say this respectfully, and this is more so doesn't really have to do with religion, but at the same time too, but when you're a child of God, it's just certain things that you just don't do. And I say that respectfully. It's certain things that you just don't do. And especially good day, bad day, misunderstanding day. Because God did not approve this. God did not approve for you to psych yourself out your own freedom. God did not approve of you to psych someone else out their freedom. That was not God's approval. You know, they say it takes a village to raise a child, right? But it also takes a village and a community to be at peace within and to respect each other with no malicious intentions. And I say that respectfully. So if you believe in God or if you don't believe in God at the end of the day, neighbor, I say this respectfully, it's called respect and stay in your own lane. It's getting really disgusting to see that adults that say they're adults, that they're grown, right? Will sit here and promote violence and sit here and say that they're for the youth. But then be the first one to want to psych someone out their freedom because they don't have good intentions. And then they sit there and say, I'm blaming my trauma and my pain for why I'm showing up for myself today. When you a child of God, and I say this respectfully, when you have self-awareness for yourself, good day, bad day, misunderstanding day, you're showing up for yourself differently. And I say that respectfully. You're not showing up for yourself to have excuses. You're not. And you're not showing up for yourself to bring harm towards yourself or others around you, regardless of what the situation is. And I say that respectfully. Because it was not God's approval for us to have violence amongst one another. Because it's more bigger than culture. It really is. And why I say it's more bigger than culture is because of the fact that it doesn't matter what culture it is for someone to have malicious intentions towards an innocent person. You know, and racism is really real. It really is real. It's so real. It is. That's why not everybody's for you. They're not. The fact that someone can say stop the violence and someone says, you're not worthy of yourself. Ain't no way God is possibly showing up for you. Ain't no way possible that God is possibly favoring you. It's the thought process to me. You know, when you question God, you only play in your own face, and I say that respectfully. You do. You only play in your own face. You do. Because you know what happens is, when you reevaluate your life and say to yourself as, you know what? If a person can possibly sit there and say, stop the violence, I may not see what's going on around me right now. I may not see it. I may be from a small little town that nobody knows about. Right? So maybe this person may be right. I need to stay in my own lane. I shouldn't have did that today. Because maybe what's going on in your city, maybe what's going on in your town, it may not be going on. But in other areas of the world, it's going on. It is. People get into relationships. They have a hand problem. They got controlling issues. They're manipulators. They're narcissists. Or you just have that person who just decides to, I want to have that day where I just want to bother someone because it happens. It does. It happens every single day when you least expect it. Someone was walking to their car the other day, right? Minding their business, literally minding their business. They don't got no beef with nobody in the street. They don't bother nobody. Nobody at all. And someone chased them down to their car. They chased them down to their car. Just to psych them out their freedom. And then to come to find out when the person was picked up who committed the crime, it was so sad to hear the backstory behind it. Because once upon a time, the person who got psyched out their freedom was friends with an individual that got them lined up. Why did they get them lined up? Over jealousy. Why didn't they do it themselves? Because they was a sucker. They're a loser. They ain't got heart. They wanted somebody else to do their dirty work. Just to reevaluate their life. Now, see how those tables turn? Now they reevaluate their life, saying to themselves is, why was I jealous of this person anyway? Why now they gotta sit in a cell now and reevaluate their life and say to themselves is, dang, that person had malicious intentions towards me. That person didn't do nothing to me. That person just motivated me. That person respected me. Days when I couldn't see for myself. That person had my back. Because 9 out of 10, you'd be so surprised. A lot of these stories happen like that. How someone could be so have so much emotional support towards you, show you so much genuine support, show you so much genuine shit when it comes to being real. But when you're not used to somebody being real and respecting you, you don't know how to handle it. And it's so disgusting to see because a lot of these adults that's walking around, they scream, I'm grown, I'm an adult. I take care of myself, I pay my own bills. But they're not used to someone loving them. They're not used to someone respecting them. So when you're not used to that, you're threatened by it. You're intimidated by it. You gotta feel like you gotta run up on somebody. You're in secret competition with them. When that person this whole entire time was in their own lane, they would have gave you their shirt off their back. It's the thought process for me. Ma'am, sir. You know, what I've witnessed from my life experience, from young men and from young women who don't know what love is, who don't know what respect is. When they have individuals, a real one, come into their life without wearing a mask, what they do is they sit there and play the person close, right? They will sit there and play the person close and manipulate someone's character of a description that they're truly not. All because they want to run up on that person. They sit there and sit there and label someone retarded, slow, stupid, all because of the fact that they can't take someone's kindness and the genuine ship how they showing up because they don't know how to be themselves. They want that energy so bad. They want that energy so bad. They want that energy so bad. They don't even know how to be kind to themselves. All they're so used to is trauma, toxic behavior. So they will manipulate someone's kindness, right? And you'd be so surprised because people, what they do is they pick and choose who they're going to manipulate. They pick and choose who they're going to disrespect. And when they do such a thing to pick and choose, they pick and choose the wrong person to do that too, just for them to reevaluate their thought process that they only played in their own face. Because what happens is, when you come across a real one, right? And I say this respectfully because when you come across a real one doesn't wear a mask. A real one is their authentic self. And because someone is trying to find themselves, they want to be just like this real one. But they can't. As much as they try to, and as hard as they try to take down notes or whatever the case may be, it's not them. So what they would do is, they would try to psych them out their freedom. And they ain't got good intentions. And then they sit there and say, I didn't have my mother. I didn't have my father. But how is it that you didn't have your mother, you didn't have your father, you dealt with all this trauma, maybe being sexually assaulted, dealing with hate crime, dealing with dysfunctional folks, domestic violence. You put a name to your book. But how is it the fact that you can smile today? How is the fact that your trauma and your pain is not holding you back to dim your light for your future? And you reevaluate your life and see at the end of the day, we really live in a cold, cold world where people don't know how to respect their neighbor without the malicious intentions, without the disrespect. Because you may have had a mother and a father in a household, right? But you felt like your light was dimmed when it came to showing up for yourself. But then you come across someone who may had had a mother and a father in a household, right? But the way they smile and the way they understand themselves, you don't like it. You're threatened by their energy. It's the thought process for me, ma'am, sir. So it really wouldn't matter if someone had a mother and father in a household or not at the end of the day. A person would still be intimidated, jealous, envious of the fact that a person knows how to be genuine and real with themselves, their authentic self. And it's more sad to see that a person will really be in secret competition with someone because of the fact that they know how to heal. Or not only do they know how to heal, but they know how to show up for themselves. Good day, bad day, misunderstanding day. And not put their problems on an innocent person. Besides, you know what? That's motivate each other. That's uplift each other. The energy hit different. Instead of kicking each other down. But when a person does not like that, they got to try to kick you down because of the fact that they don't know how to find balance within themselves. To have the proper self-awareness, to respect themselves, to respect their neighbor. It's sad to see. Like, it really is sad to see. It really is. But this happens every single day. How a person, right, could be minding their business with them minding their business, and they decide to come out their comfort zone to meet new people. Just to reevaluate their life at the end of the day, that the person been looking at them weird the whole entire time. Why? Because they decide to go buy nice things for themselves, or they tie their shoe differently, or they speak up for themselves, or they have beautiful teeth, or they just take care of themselves. And the person sitting next to them this whole entire time is saying, I don't like that B-I-T-C-H. I don't like that mother effer. You retarded, stupid son of a B-I-T-C-H, all types of stuff. And then turn around and say, I was just joking. It was just a joke. That's how we joke. And then you're reevaluating your life, saying to yourself is, I don't joke like that with you. Since when? That's how you play with them other people at the end of the day. That's not how I play with you. I'm big on respect at the end of the day. So why would you do such a thing? Oh, it's not that serious. It's not that serious. Always taking stuff to the heart. Excuse me? Excuse me? You see how when you speak up for yourself, how they try to manipulate the situation when you're not playing with nobody? When they reevaluate their thought process, they can't play with you? It's the thought process for me. And then they would sit here and figure out ways to how to psych you out your freedom. They would sit here and find ways to psych you out your freedom. All because you know how to show up for yourself. You take care of yourself. You go to work, or even if you don't go to work, they trying to figure out how you gain your income. It's none of your business. Why are you so concerned about somebody else's pockets at the end of the day? Ma'am, sir. Ain't nobody asking you for nothing at the end of the day. It's the thought process me. If someone knows how to respect you and do nice things for you at the end of the day, with no attachments, and they ain't looking for nothing in return, and they just know how to respect their neighbor, a person will really feel intimidated and envious and jealous over that. And be sit here quick to say, well, I was raised by my grandparents. I was raised by my uncle. I was raised by this person. I was raised by that person. I was raised by this person. I was raised by that person. You put a name to your book. So that's why I act the way I act. Compared to a person, right, who may not have family or had family at the end of the day. It doesn't matter. Good day, bad day, misunderstanding day, they still know how to respect themselves, to respect their neighbor. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and just because moments. They still knew how to respect their neighbor. And the fact that they knew how to respect their neighbor would sit there and try to antagonize their character. Their neighbor would sit there and try to manipulate them. Just to get a reaction out of them. Just for their neighbor to reevaluate their life and say to themselves as, wow, I came across a real one today. I shouldn't do that. In some cases, some people don't walk home. Some people don't walk home. Some people don't make it home because of individuals like this. You see how these scenarios can go multiple ways at the end of the day? It's the thought process for me. It's the thought process for me. You know, it doesn't matter if you're in tune with God or not at the end of the day. It's called respect, neighbor. And then you want to sit here and play victim and manipulate the situation as to, oh, well, that person tied their shoe differently. Yeah, they didn't have malicious intentions towards me or whatever the case may be. I just didn't like them. Wow. You sat so close to somebody to play them close, to manipulate their character. You sat so close to somebody to fake gaslight somebody just to say at the end of the day you never liked them from day one. So what was really your intentions? Ma'am, sir, because this happens every single day. How individuals will sit next to somebody at a table with somebody and don't like the person. They trying to get information about the person. They trying to see what this person got going on. What this person's pocket is looking like. Who are you? And you're not even in tune with yourself in the most healthiest way to have the proper self-awareness to stay in your own lane. But you're so quick to sit here and bother innocent people and then play victim. It's the thought process for me. Like, leave innocent people alone because you don't know your self-worth. Someone loves themselves in the most someone loves themselves in the most healthiest way. Someone loves themselves in the most healthiest way. And because they love themselves in the most healthiest way, you don't like that. I never knew it was a crime to love yourself. I never knew it was a crime to acknowledge yourself and stay in your own lane when you mind your business. It's the thought process to me. You know, just because someone didn't show you what love was, regardless if you had two folks in a household or not, or one person in a household or not, just because someone didn't show you how to love yourself or didn't show you love or didn't show you respect at the end of the day, does not give you the right to bother an innocent person. And it's so sad and disgusting to see that this type of behavior, when it comes to bullyism and when it comes to envious energy and hate crimes and stuff like that, I say this respectfully, it starts off at a young age. It does. And it's disgusting to see that the youth is affected by this when it comes to bullyism. Because what happened with bullyism is children take it too far when they least expect it. You don't know how a person gonna snap today or not. It go from someone kicking someone, someone calling someone's name, and then you reevaluate your life and say, dang, how did this child just do this? How did a child just commit a crime? Or this behavior when it comes to bullyism, it goes from a child point of view and it goes into their adulthood because they thought it was the norm. It was never the norm. No, it was never the norm. Because what happens is when you're jealous of somebody, you're envious of somebody, you start to have these malicious intentions where now you want to fight. You want to take someone their freedom. And then when you reevaluate your life and everybody's like, yo, why did you just fight this person? You sitting there saying, I just didn't like that person. Like, wait, what? Because you don't like somebody at the end of the day, that don't give you the right to put your hands on somebody's child. And I say that respectfully. It don't matter how old they are. They ain't bothering you. Somebody walking away from a situation that you caused, and you calling them a puss. Why? Why? They walking away. They love themselves enough not to sacrifice about their own thought process or their freedom at the end of the day because you ain't got good intentions. Somebody walks away and doesn't want to go back and forth with words with you. You're so quick to label somebody that they're a punk, that they're a wuss because of the fact that they don't choose violence first to defend themselves against someone who's against themselves because a person's their worst enemy. When they didn't ask for this. They just mind their own business, the innocent person. Why would they want to become their worst enemy to go against somebody who has malicious intentions towards them? They'd rather walk away and make it home. To choose themselves, not to shortchange themselves. That energy hit different. And I say that respectfully. It's the thought process for me, ma'am, sir. It's like it doesn't matter who raised people nowadays. No. Because an individual could come from a good household and still have this type of behavior. So never judge a book by its cover, and I say that respectfully. So it doesn't matter if a person was in foster care or not. Because you know what I realized though? Because not everybody's the same. Because if you didn't have family and you was brought up in a foster care system, you have one group of folks, right? That they can still respect their neighbor with no malicious intentions. Then you got the other group who don't know how to respect themselves or respect their neighbor. And that just goes with life. So it never judge a book by its cover, and I say that respectfully. So it doesn't matter if you had a guardian in the household or not nowadays. It don't matter. It does not matter if there's a guardian in the household or if there's a guardian that's present and showing a child or showing that they're being a role model to these children in the most healthiest way. That child still go outside and still have malicious intentions. It's like some of they thought process in their friend in their pockets on their eyesight because they ain't got good intentions. So it doesn't matter if someone showed you love or not at the end of the day. It's called respect, neighbor, and stay in your own lane. People always quick to have an excuse as to, my pain, my trauma from my childhood went into my adulthood. This is why I disrespect my neighbor. This is why I curse my neighbor every single day. Nobody showed me love. Nobody respected me. What? But then, you sit here and pick and choose who you gonna respect. But then you take out your animosity and put it on the wrong person. Your animosity, your anger on the wrong individual because you ain't got good intentions. You know, ain't got nothing to do about someone's sexual orientation. Ain't got nothing to do about someone's religion. Ain't got nothing to do about someone's disability. If they elderly or not. It don't matter. It don't. But what I'm going to say is self-awareness is very important. It really is. Self-awareness is very important. Self-awareness is very important. Because someone has self-awareness for themselves, it's no need to be jealous of somebody. It's no need to be threatened by somebody. No, they mind their business. They ain't bothering you. They ain't even thinking about you. Leave innocent people alone. Sorry someone didn't show you respect. Sorry someone didn't show you what love looks like up close in person. But that's not give you the right to bring harm towards an innocent person. That does not give you the right to have malicious intentions towards an innocent person because you don't know how to stay in your lane. To understand your awareness. You know, God said there are better days ahead, and I say this respectfully. You know, these tools that God installed within us so we can elevate to become our best self-vision of ourselves, to understand ourselves in the most healthiest way, not to dim our light, especially when God has not dimmed our light. You know, God installed self-awareness within us. God installed self-healing within us. God installed self-respect, self-control, self-peace, self-discipline, self-confidence, self-care, self-value, self-love, self-worth, self-patience, healthy boundaries, healthy balance. So you can show up for yourself in the most healthiest way. They gave up on you. They overlooked you. They didn't see your worth. But that does not mean shortchange yourself or go within shortchanging yourself to shortchange your neighbor because you don't have self-awareness. And when it comes to healing from trauma from your childhood, going into your adulthood, it would never be an overnight process. And just because you see your neighbor elevating or you see your neighbor choosing their best self-vision of themselves or you understand the assignment, wow, your neighbor understood, and you know what? They're not dimming their light to allow themselves to become victims to their trauma and their pain to shortchange themselves to their future. And you sit here in secret competition with them at the end of the day when you don't got good intentions. Because it was never a competition. When it comes to choosing yourself in the most healthiest way without wearing a mask. You know, to find peace within, to show up for yourself in the most healthiest way, not to dim your light. Because you don't understand how someone shows up for themselves, regardless if they came from a household with guardians or not, or they've had to go into a system. And you're not understanding how someone still knows how to respect themselves and still understands how to show up for themselves in the most healthiest way. When they decide to choose their healing. Because they say, you know what? I became victim to my trauma, my pain for so many years throughout my journey. All these obstacles that I'm trying to overcome, and I'm not shortchanging myself because you know what? God said there are better days ahead. And understanding your obstacles through your journey. Your neighbor not going to understand when you choose yourself to neglect yourself, but to understand your patience because God is still being patient with you. Can't nobody dim your light. Nobody. Even if they try to. They try to find ways to unbalance you. But God is patient with you. When they be in secret competition with you, all because you choose yourself to come out your comfort zone and love yourself, to respect yourself. When your neighbor don't know how to stay in their own lane or respect themselves, to respect their neighbor. When never was competition, when loving yourself. And you meant what you said to acknowledge yourself, not to wear a mask. But to look at your self-reflection of yourself, not to become victim to your trauma, your pain. Protect your energy, because not everybody's deserving your time and day. And when it comes to healing trauma and pain, it would never be an overnight process. It's not competition when it comes to healing, because it would never be an overnight process. Never. Never, never, never. Certain areas in someone's life that may have not had love and may have been abused and whatever the case may be, neglected, it may take individuals years to understand their self-awareness when it comes to understanding what just happened. And because you don't understand how your neighbor means what they say and they say what they mean, that they can't wear masks. It's impossible. Because it goes from within. And when it comes out, it shows that they choosing themselves the most healthiest way when they're not in competition with you, neighbor. They just want to become their best self, vision of themselves, to love themselves, to be at peace without wearing a mask. So when you start your healing when it comes to trauma and pain, you have to be mentally ready to understand who you are. And I say that respectfully, not to dim your light. Because you dimmed your light enough. Bothering innocent people. You have. But what I'm going to say is, I don't wish bad on anybody. I just hope that one day you find peace in your own lane. But leave innocent people alone within the process. You know, it's no competition. It's not about clout chasing when it comes to healing. It's not. And I say that respectfully. It's not. Because meaning what you say and say what you mean, you got to mean what you say and say what you mean when you actually reevaluate your thought process, when you really in tune with yourself, to look at your reflection of yourself. And people don't like that. When you're able to actually look at your reflection of yourself, to acknowledge who you are and mean what you say and say what you mean. Not only that you're real with yourself, but you mean what you say, that you're real with yourself without wearing a mask. To fake gaslight yourself when you're truly at peace with yourself in the most healthiest way. That you understood your trauma and your pain, and it doesn't live here today. But you're allowing yourself to elevate and allowing yourself to say, you know what? I recognize me today. And I love me another day. And I mean what I say and I say what I mean. The energy hit different. So when it comes to healing, it's not gonna be an overnight process. And for you to understand your healing process, you gotta really be in tune with your self-reflection of yourself when you look at yourself in the mirror. It's not gonna be easy. It's not. It really isn't. It really isn't gonna be easy. And why isn't it gonna be easy? Because you're gonna feel discouraged at times. You're gonna feel so discouraged within being discouraged because of the fact that you find yourself trying to show up for yourself, but you're only shortchanging yourself because of the fact that you have triggers within you. From a child point of view that went from your child point of view, went into your adulthood. And it's hard to digest as to what just happened to you, what you just experienced. Just because you see a neighbor becoming their best self version themselves, you know, they may have been sexually assaulted as a child, dealt with discrimination, dealt with hate crime, dysfunctional folks, domestic violence. Stuff went into their adulthood. Sickness. You put a name to your book. Just because you don't understand how your neighbor overcame all of that, and you're not understanding that what it took for that neighbor to show up for themselves. Days when they probably was homeless. Days when they couldn't reach out to folks because people was against them. People manipulated their character, disrespected them in the most toxic way. They didn't have good intentions towards that innocent person. Everybody's walk of life is different. You don't know nobody's struggle and their pain. Because comparing your trauma and your pain to somebody else's walk of life, you shouldn't do such a thing. You don't know what it actually took for that person to actually sit down and self-reflect to understand their healing. To mean what they say and say what they mean, that, hey, I don't want to shortchange myself. They made me become victim to my own trauma, my pain. Dealing with depression, anxiety, PTSD, sleepless nights. Put a name to your book. When you knew not to shortchange yourself when it came to your future because God said there are better days ahead. And your neighbor's not going to understand why you choose yourself when they try to shortchange you. When it was never competition, neighbor. Never. It was never competition. You could laugh all day long with an individual. You could crack jokes all day long with individuals at the end of the day. But when you have to sit down and reevaluate your life, when you have to get the life in within the life in, some people fall short. And they feel like they don't know which way to go when it comes to their trauma and their pain. And they'll be so jealous of someone showing up for themselves, someone motivating themselves. Instead of being jealous of your neighbor, instead of being a hate in disguise, your neighbor wouldn't mind helping you, especially when as a child of God. It's the thought process to me. Be mindful when judging a book by its cover, and I hope to anybody that's dealing with trauma and pain today and it went from their childhood into their adulthood, I hope one day that you understand that you have to be mentally ready to understand taking that next step to understanding self. Because it's not going to be an overnight process. It's not. Because you see your neighbor elevating and you don't know how to show up for yourself. That does not give you the right to bother an innocent person. And I say that respectfully. I hope one day that you can understand your trauma and your pain, and you can finally allow yourself not to become victim to your trauma and your pain, and one day that you truly find peace. One day. And mean what you say what you mean, and show up for yourself, not shortchange yourself. When it comes to elevating. And there's no competition when it comes to healing. It's not. So be mindful as to knowing when you choose yourself in the most healthiest way, and individuals not going to understand why you're showing up for yourself today. Not to dim your light. Because you're going to start to look at yourself in a most different way when you start to self-reflect and mean it. You are. You're going to start to realize certain individuals not for you too. Certain individuals may be stopping your growth because of the norm that you thought was the norm when it came to certain behaviors. It's a thought process to me. You matter and you are worthy, especially when you don't have malicious intentions to bring harm towards yourself or others around you. Just leave innocent people alone. Leave innocent people alone. These scenarios go multiple ways, and it's sad. It really is. It's so sad that innocent people get put in situations where they get psyched out their freedom and their thought process or their eyesight, their pockets, because someone does not have self-awareness. Or someone is threatened or jealous or envious because someone knows how to have self-awareness in the most healthiest way. You know, not to go back and forth with words with their neighbor because their neighbor don't have common sense today. But they know how to respect themselves, to respect their neighbor, and just stay in their own lane. Never judge a book by its cover, and I say that respectfully. You matter and you are worthy. Stop the violence. Stop the violence. That wasn't part of God's timing. When you become your own worst enemy, the enemy sits back and watches you do their work. When that wasn't part of God's plan, the good God said, no, 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 not today and not tomorrow. Stop. Leave innocent people alone. Just because you don't understand how God is favoring a child of God or God is favoring a chosen one does not give you the right to try to dim someone's light. Does not give you the right to have controlling issues or to come towards an innocent person. And you ain't got good intentions. It's the thought process to me. Self-awareness is very important. And when it comes to trauma healing and pain, healing, not only do you have to be mentally ready, but it's on your timing. It's not a rushed process. So never allow someone to psych you out your thought process when it comes to healing your trauma and your pain. Because there's no rush, there's no competition. It's not about clout. It's not about fitting into what the Joneses at the end of the day. No, because this is your life. This is who you are. This is how you're supposed to show up for yourself and mean what you say and be real with yourself. You know, everybody quick to say, I'm real, I'm real. Real recognize real. Be careful when you use that word real, because not everybody's real. And I say that respectfully. It's the thought process to me. You know, just leave innocent people alone. If you ain't got good intentions, stop trying to play individuals close. And then you sit there and have third-party conversations about an individual, right? That's not even truly the description of them. All because you want to control the narrative of someone's life. All because you want... Because you ain't got good intentions. Sitting there having third-party conversations about an individual at the end of the day. And the third-party conversation starts to reevaluate their life and say to themselves is, hey, why are you so jealous of that person? What did they really do to you? And you sit there and say nothing. So you sit there and gather up different people because people start to see right through you and see what type of time you truly on at the end of the day. And you ain't got good intentions. Sitting here bothering an innocent person because of the fact that you can't control the narrative of this person's life. And then when that third-party conversation starts to reevaluate their thought process, you got to get rid of them now because of the fact that nobody's on your team to go against that innocent person. All because of the fact that you're jealous, envious, you're a hate in disguise, you ain't got good intentions. Leave innocent people alone. It's the thought process for me. You'd be so surprised nowadays how it don't matter who it is that's going to psych you out your thought process, your freedom, your pockets, or your eyesight. Not everybody's for you. And it's not a crime to love yourself. It's not a crime to come out your comfort zone and be your authentic self in the most healthiest way, not to have malicious intentions towards yourself or your neighbor. It's called respect, neighbor. With God's protection for every direction, I ask for any negative energy to be returned back to sender respectfully. Just because someone gave up on you, don't give up on yourself. Just because someone overlooked you, don't give up on yourself. You are genuinely loved by all the right people. You are genuinely respected by all the right people. Never allow a hate in disguise or personalist intentions like your thought process, your freedom, your pockets, or your eyesight because they ain't got good intentions. You matter and you are worthy. Especially when you don't have malicious intentions to bring harm towards yourself or others around you. It's called respect, neighbor. Stay in your own lane. Never judge a book by its cover. And I say that respectfully. I truly appreciate the time to the genuine ones only. Like I said, this page is not for everybody, and that's okay. But I truly appreciate the time to the genuine ones only. Have a safe month. Have a safe remaining year. Protect your energy, because not everybody's ever gonna get time and day. You matter. You do. You matter. And another thing, too. When it comes to healing, and I say this respectfully, that don't mean mimic somebody. That does not mean mimic a person who's in a healing process. That does not mean mimic what they got going on. Because at the end of the day, it's not who you truly are. Because when you have to sit when you have to sit down and sit by yourself and reevaluate your life, the energy that you dishing out, or whatever the case may be, it's not gonna be an even exchange because you're only playing in your own face. And I say that respectfully. Like, be mindful when playing in your own face. No, for real. It's the thought process me. Because I see that's a lot going on nowadays. How someone will sit here and mimic somebody every move. They will mimic somebody. And it's a little weird. Like, you need a whole straight body, Jack, at this point in time. Like, for real, for real. Like, you would sit here and mimic everything that someone is doing, but you can't go within and do the proper healing work for yourself. And you're not even doing the healing work at all because of the fact that you're not even in tune with yourself. You don't know how to self-reflect. One thing you can't do, you can try to copy someone all day long, but you can't copy their soul. Ooh, I gotta go! It's the thought process to me. With God's protection for every direction. Actually return back any negative energy. Return back any negative energy to sender. And I say that respectfully. You matter and you are worthy. Be mindful when playing in your own face. I say that respectfully. It's the thought process to me. I actually appreciate the time to the genuine ones only. Have a good day. Later.